Hey everybody, welcome to the video. Cheers. So, what is the Need2Nerd developer philosophy? This is my philosophy. But actually, you know what? It's not my philosophy. Need2Nerd is just a term I use. Any experienced developer with 5 years or more experience will tell you that this is one of the ultimate pieces of nerd knowledge you ever are going to learn. So pay attention. So what is Need2Nerd? Need2Nerd is basically the philosophy that tells you that you should only learn a technology when you need to use it. It's kind of my play on terms of need to know. You should know this knowledge on a need to know basis. Need to nerd. So there is so much out there in terms of tech, languages, frameworks, libraries, and every other YouTuber in the world is going to tell you, you got to learn this. This is the most important. Or you got to learn this, or you got to learn all this, and you got to learn that, and this and that. There's so much information out there, so many technologies out there, so many stacks and libraries that it can be overwhelming, especially to a beginner, especially when you hear people tell you got to learn this and that and this and this and that and this and this and this and that and this and this and that. The fact of the matter is, you just need to know your fundamentals, and then from there you can move on and learn anything that you need to know on a need-to-nerd basis. If you really want to know what's popular or not popular in terms of jobs, because I assume most of you want to code because of jobs, just check out the job listings. You will be surprised at how many old, tired technologies that all the young nerdlings will tell you that you shouldn't learn. You will be surprised how many jobs actually are in these old technologies. Java, C#, Python, PHP, dirty old PHP, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, except for Ruby. Ignore the Ruby jobs because that's just a recipe for disaster. I'm just kidding. Even Ruby has its has their jobs. So before I listen to any YouTuber, I would check around, see what the job opportunities are. That's the first thing you got to do. So that's number one. Number two, you can't know it all. There is no developer in the world who knows more than 1% of what's going on out there in terms of the technology. In fact, you'd grab any random Java developer, somebody who's been at it for 3-4 years, they may know 5% of the language, 10% of the language in terms of all the libraries and modules, if you will, that you can grab in Java. They all know their fundamentals. That's the key to being a great developer. Well, it's one of the keys, knowing your fundamentals well. But beyond that, all the other stuff, all the extra libraries and so on, not that important. I'll give you a quick example. In my early days of programming back in the 1990s, when Java was the young, nubile, new language that everybody was getting into. And I remember at that point in time, all the C++ people were saying, don't learn Java, it's slow, this and that. Well, compared to C++, yes, Java was slow at runtime, but which you've learned in my other videos, but that's not that important these days most of the time. Anyway, Java is now like the dominant language. It has been for 20 years. It's in number 1, number 2, number 3. It's very dominant. Anyhow, so I wrote Java professionally for more than a few years. And in that time, I don't know, I may have used 10% of the language at best, maybe 5%. I never, for example, went into Java Swing programming, which is their more advanced GUI framework. I never went into AWT beyond the basics, not in terms of commercial work. I dabbled in it, but I never really used it in a real commercial setting. Most of my Java work was servlets and JSPs and back-end stuff, I/O stuff and so on. You're going to find in your career as a developer that you're going to only use a small subset of any particular technology. What else you're going to find, though, is that you will be pivoting from one tech to another depending on the job demands. Don't let that frighten you, because you will be able to, when properly trained, learn the new tech on a need-to-nerd basis. That is a reality of being a software developer these days, is that a software developer's job, partially, is to be able to adapt and adopt and to learn new tech as the job demands. So as people who follow my channel know, I've been talking about this for years now. One of the things I would do especially in the last few years of my freelancing work career, I would go into a project with no expectations in terms of what languages or stacks I would use. I graduated, I leveled up from identifying myself as a Java programmer or as a C# programmer. I was just a developer. A pro developer can use any tool. A pro race car driver can sit behind any car and do pretty good with it. A pro musician can, grab any guitar if they play guitar and be able to play really good guitar. Eddie Van Halen didn't go from a Gibson and then to a Stratocaster and, I can't play anymore. I'm terrible guitarist all of a sudden because I'm using a Stratocaster. No, he would choose whatever guitar would suit his particular sound that he was trying to get at the time. Of course, he had his favorite guitar, and as every developer has their favorite language. But again, you can't get caught up with the identity, getting into identity languages, if you will, thinking that you're this type of coder or you're that type of coder. Again, you will have your preferences, but in terms of the tools that you use, and the programming languages are just tools, you will be pivoting from one to another depending on the needs of the job. So when I would go into to see a client to spec out a job as a freelancer, I had no expectations of language. And then I would gather the requirements, and my job as a developer was to figure out what languages, what stacks, what frameworks were best for that job. So you may see a lot of hype out, there's a lot of jobs in Mern, or there's a lot of jobs in Node, or there's a lot of jobs in Python. And that's maybe true. But if you go out there, just go to Indeed.com or other job sites and just look at your area and see where the jobs are. You may find it's PHP. You likely will find a lot of Java jobs. You will likely find a lot of C# jobs. A lot of this is very much dependent on geography. So if you level up your game and your way of thinking, and that's what this YouTube channel is about leveling up your game as a developer to teach you how to think like an experienced developer, not a young nerdling with diapered nerdling. That's what I like to say. No offense to them. They're young guys. They're 20 years old. They're just starting their career. You just started. You don't know too much. Like a 12-year-old, they're always going to tell you about dating and marriage, right? They just started dating maybe, or 14. You just started dating. So, I'm a crusty old nerd. I'm sharing my ancient dragon nerd wisdom going back 169 years. I'm about to celebrate my 170th birthday very soon. Unbelievable. Anyway, that's my little tip for today. And by the way, in terms of staying young, I know I look young for 169. One of my tricks is this. I should put an Amazon link below. If you had bad joints, knees, elbows, necks, pain back, like joint pain, this stuff is like a miracle cure. It's gelatin, and you can get it on Amazon, and it's amazing. I had a bad knee for about 1.5 years. I was doing some sprint interval training, and I did a twist, and I screwed up my knee, and I was a limping gimp for like 1 year or 2, well, 1.5 years. Couldn't move, and people were saying, surgery, meniscus surgery. So here's a general tip about life. Before you do the radical, try the less radical. So before I would do something like a big surgery, I said, you know what? We'll see if exercise and diet, nutrition can help that out. You wouldn't think. So I started taking this gelatin, and within a few days, my knee started feeling much better, much better. I was limping around for like 1.5 years. And after about 2 weeks of taking this once a day, not even, once every 2 days, my knee is like almost like 100%. It's like 99.69%. Anyway, I hope you find this video useful, and if you like it, you know what you got to do. If you don't like my video, show your disdain for my lack of presentation skills by giving me 2 thumbs down. Not 1 thumb down, but 2. Really give it to me. And if you like my video, let's be modest and only give me 1 thumbs up. That would be cool. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.